feet is the current projection for Gulfport.
Let me check the graphic. Well,
I've pulled up the surge
7
graphic.
to 11 feet.
11.
I pulled up the
7 to
surge.
11 feet.
I pulled up the surge graphic so that way you guys can see what we're looking at. Pretty much anywhere between Sabine Pass and Pecan Island, 1 to 3 feet. From Pecan Island to Intercoastal City, that we're looking at 2 to 4 feet. Vermilion Bay is looking at 4 to 6 feet. Other than that, Intercoastal City, all the way to Burns Point, 4 to 6 feet as well. And then once you get to Burns Point of Morgan City, that's 6 to 9 feet. And all the way from Morgan City to the mouth of the Mississippi River, 10 to 15 foot of storm surge. And that is a very large area where that is possible. And then from the mouth of the Mississippi River all the way upwards, 7 to 11 foot of storm surge to Lake Pontchartrain, 5 to 8 feet. And then even into Lake Maurepas, 4 to 6 foot of storm surge there. And as you head into the Louisiana-Mississippi border all the way into Ocean Springs, that's another 7 to 11 feet. Ocean Springs to the Mississippi-Alabama border, 4 to 7 feet. And from that border all the way to the Alabama-Florida border, 2 to 4 feet. That includes Mobile Bay.
I got breaking news. Mississippi Canyon, Louisiana has reported gusts up to 71 knots or 81.7 miles per hour.
Oh,
Also,
that's not what I expected you to break in with. I thought you were going to tell us about the SPC issuing a day 2 slight risk on the Gulf Coast due to Ida.
okay. But anyways, in regards to neither of those, we did get drop 6 from the Recon, showing that once again we do see that these SFMRs are showing easily 40 to 50 knots during that entire flight span from drop 5 to drop 6, but drop 6 does show a splash wind of 37 knots. That means that that is the outermost edge of the tropical storm force wind field. So, the SFMRs, for whatever reason, on the wings of this storm seem to be inflated.
Yes, indeed it is.
And the flight level winds they haven't really dropped below hurricane force. So, trash mixing at this level of the storm.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, this is, yeah, and any minute now, or very soon, the Recon will be entering the eye for last time. However, I do want to point out that we have another Recon that's on its way to Ida right
Air Force
now.
302 is taking off.
Mm-hmm.
We do. We indeed do.
Which is a good thing.
Also, are we sure that that's going to be the last pass that this Recon makes, 303?
I doubt it. Why?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
what I
anyone said
thought.
that. I don't think anyone said that.
I thought I heard Eugenator just say
I
that.
thought I heard someone say that before. Okay,
No.
that.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I did not hear anyone say that.
Okay. Oops.
Yeah, 303's got at least another. It has this pass and probably another 2 passes after that.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yep. But I'm wondering what this pass will find, because it looks like it's gonna be getting into some really good conditions. If it encounters that at the right time. And I think it will show all we need to know about the storm's progression. As it's getting late where I am.
Alright, let's see here. Looking out for the more questions that we have, since we have quite a few still. Is this over the loop current yet? If not, when's it going to? I'm pretty sure it's over the loop current now.
It is over the eddy.
Yeah, it's been over that.
It's been
for-
over the eddy for
yeah.
hours.
Let's see here. What do you think the economic effects would be for the Gulf oil, considering this hurricane will likely pass right over Port Fortune, which holds a lot of the U.S. oil supply?
Literally anytime a drop. If you're talking about gas prices across the nation, literally anytime a natural disaster or like a or any kind of tropical storm or hurricane goes through, the gas prices are going to go up. That's usually what happens. That's normal. It always happens. If you're asking about how much oil could be lost, it depends if that's near a river on the coast, or I'm not sure directly where that is. But if it's just for the gas prices to go up, yeah, that's gonna happen. It's normal. That happens all the time.
And another question that we had: the Recon is going to be flying through a new convective burst on the eastern part of the center? Question mark.
What?
I don't think that's.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the question means.
Yeah. Can you try to rephrase that? And we have a few questions about Cat 5 and whether it can be rolled out or not.
No, it cannot be rolled out.
Eh.
Yeah.
And even
It cannot be.
yeah, and even then, no matter what category, this thing is going to be significant. Now, I know that we discussed this earlier, but it's why the National Hurricane Center labels Category 4 and Category 5 as the same classification, catastrophic. And needless to say, you don't want to be in this situation either way. You should not be watching this depending on category. This is a major hurricane. This is basically as bad as it gets in terms of the scales between tropical storm hurricane and the major hurricane. So, needless to say, you need to be treating this as serious as it can potentially be. This is not a time for trying to wish cast things. This is not a time to hope this becomes stronger than it is, because this is lives we are talking about. This is lives, infrastructure, all sorts of things, businesses even. So, needless to say, we really hope that these people have taken all necessary precaution, because it's going to be a very, very long next 24 to 36 hours for these people, especially now that we're going to be seeing the impacts continue to deteriorate across portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, and other portions of the Gulf Coast that are under any kind of tropical warning at this point. So needless to say, it's not really mattering what category this reaches or what category this ends up being. This is just such a significant threat not to be taken down lightly at all. And I know someone highlighted earlier about back when Thomas was streaming about how the chance of Category 5 was 20%. Thing was, that was what Thomas explained.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we should not be focusing on Category 5. Looking at more questions that we have, if we have any. Looking out for those at the moment. Keep in mind, with over 500 watching, if you have any more questions, keep the chat going in terms of that. We will try to answer those as those come in. Of course, we are...
So, the storm has found 116 knot flight level winds, or the, Recon. I don't know how far it got into it yet. That will be determined in a little bit once we actually have an image, but we're hearing 116 knot flight level winds have been recorded.
Not in the eye. Someone said that in the public server. 116 knot flight level, not in the eye.
I'll be surprised if they're recording 116 night flight level winds in the eye, considering the fact that eye is supposed to be the calmest part of the storm.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be surprised
I would
too.
I mean, there was a time when it was Hurricane Diana of 1990, where the National Hurricane Center said, well, the hurricane hunters said that they supposedly found a 111 knot flight level
hold up,
wind that
hold up,
was
hold up.
what?
It was not the eye wall. That's what they meant to say.
Okay. Yeah,
Then
that's
I'm
the
calling
most-
sus on that.
No, it is the eye wall. I can confirm that
It's the most recent barb.
it's going to be in the eye wall.
No,
It's-
I have imagery of it. It doesn't look like it was in the eye wall. It was just outside.
Hold
of
on, the pressure on that barb is 982. That is nowhere near the eye wall.
Yep.
I haven't gotten the update yet.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, it's not by the eye wall.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it is, but it's iffy.
Unless that northeast eye wall's pressure is just collapsing to where it just shot up to 980 something.
And again, it's going through a mesocyclone. So the flight level winds are going to be kinda sus. And the SFMRs haven't gotten above 90 knots. So tisk tisk.
116 flight level SFMR of 89.
Yeah. And right now, now is when it's actually encountering the eye wall, I would say. Or actually, no, wait. I think it's already past that wall. It might be in the eye right now as we speak.
Look, it's in the eye wall. Okay, it's in the radius of maximum winds. I can assure you, it's in the radius of maximum.
Oh, it's definitely in the hurricane force winds for sure because
It's in the-
SFMRs
it
is
is
89.
It's in the radius of maximum winds.
It
Alright,
is in
well,
the radius, but I don't think
let's
it is.
just
I think
stop.
It's
Let's
Xavier,
just
go
stop.
ahead, Xavier.
Yeah, let's just
Go ahead,
stop. Of
Xavier.
course, we don't need to be arguing about this. Of course, not when this is, of course, a very serious
Yeah.
situation. It's not something to be worth arguing about. Doesn't matter what intensity it is. Either way, it's not going to change the impacts that we're going to be seeing out of this.
Oh, for sure.
There are people sleeping on the street right now on the New Orleans Cat's Meow balcony cam. If people are legit doing that, then that is a severe issue. There is no reason people should be outside, especially in New Orleans right now.
Well, Xavier, I mean, those might be either homeless or poor people that can't evacuate the city.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're hoping that some of those people, all those people.
Yeah, there are shelters that are set up in place in the city, but I'm not quite seeing it.
Yeah, at this point, in terms of, terminology's sake, let's just not fight about recon stuff. At this point, we're waiting to just figure out what the updated intensity is. If, of course, they are going into the eye wall right now, we're going to figure out if the northeastern quadrant is stronger, but needless to say, it doesn't really matter. It's really getting better organized in general, and it's clear that it's still strengthening. So while it's 115 miles an hour now, further intensification to a Category 4 remains very much in the cards. It seems almost certain that it is going to reach Category 4 before it does make that inevitable landfall in southeastern Louisiana. It looks like, as of right now, the National Hurricane Center has highlighted Golden Meadow as the landfall location, and of course, all the hurricane warnings and tropical storm warnings are located in the bottom of your screen at the bottom bar. So, with that said, we are continuing coverage. It's now 2:13 a.m. here on the East Coast, 1:13 a.m. in Central Time, so if you are sticking with us, we do appreciate the fact that you have stayed up this late to watch our coverage. Of course, we know that this is a very, very serious event, and it's very late that we're doing this, but of course we are devoted to this kind of stuff. We are devoted to trying to get the information out, helping keep people safe. And that is what we're faced with, the biggest situation of the year so far. And we just dealt with the major landfall last week, and we did a whole bunch of late night coverage on that one. That was Hurricane Grace. That made that Category 3 landfall, 125 mile an hour winds officially. And here we are with the storm that's basically about to topple that. So It's just pretty crazy, and we're about to enter September, and we have a whole bunch of other stuff going on in the Atlantic, and then of course we have Hurricane Nora, which we've been keeping our eye on as well. All the warnings with that are also on the bottom of your screen, so don't worry, we have not ignored that. That poses a threat to the Baja Peninsula, where tropical storm warning watch is in place, but mainly portions of western Mexico are really looking to be seeing the most of the impacts now. Of course, hurricane warnings and tropical storm warnings are in place across a significant chunk of the region there. And then the remnants could be influencing the monsoon season across portions of the southwest U.S., specifically areas like Arizona, New Mexico. So yeah, definitely a lot going on right now, and it's very serious what we're dealing with. Keep in mind, if you have any questions, please keep us filled with them, so that way we can answer those. Of course, if you have any questions, if you have any family there, if you have any locations that you would like for us to answer in terms of what impacts areas could be seeing. This is very serious. It's very unfortunate that we're seeing a hurricane this strong going right for New Orleans, especially with the eastern shifts that we've been seeing. And as we've stressed enough multiple times so far, Nelson, of course, many of you may know if you've been a long-time watcher of this channel, the social media head for here, he had to evacuate, and he has been through a lot of hurricanes. So the fact that it got to the point where evacuation was necessary for him, it just describes how significant this has become, how much of a threat this poses for the Gulf Coast, and it just stresses why preparation was needed. The last question that we had was, is it still over the very deep ocean content pool? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It is on the back end of it, but yes. And even as it goes off the back end of it, sea surface temperatures are going up anyways. The reason why ocean heat content is dropping off is because ocean heat content is basically an integration of how much energy the water has, not just at the surface, but it adds up all of the layers underneath the surface as well, to really figure out how much energy does the ocean have at that thing, not just at the surface level, but if the sea surface temperature is 30 degrees with only 25 ocean heat content, that means that's 30 degrees right at the surface, but it's not very deep. Meanwhile, 30 degrees Celsius with 200 ocean heat content says that 30 degrees Celsius is very deep. So that's the reason why you see sea surface temperatures go up as it goes closer to shore, but ocean heat content goes down because the ocean is literally shallow and there's less energy to add up.
Another question that we had, is this storm starting to move north, if not a slight east towards landfall? I'm pretty sure this is still moving northwest to northwest.
It's still moving northwest, yes.
I don't know if anyone's looking at radar right now. I can't really confirm direction based off of my satellite loop, but it looks pretty good to be just west of northwest right now.
Yeah, so yeah, this isn't moving northeast or anything like that. No. A very odd question, which I don't understand. How can Ida be stronger than Nora? Are there broken instruments? Well, that is a flat-out no. I think the appearance of both of these storms speaks for itself. This storm, it has an eye, a complete eye wall, pretty much, and of course you have Nora there, which is larger in size. However, it doesn't look as good at all compared to this one. We had Recon go into this earlier. This peaked.
I got an update.
Yeah, we've got the Recon update coming through.
Oh yeah, 133 flight level knots. And extrapolated.
Dear Jesus!
What?
Yeah,
133 knot flight level winds.
943 millibars.
And this is wait. This is unflagged, right?
I believe so.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is some interesting developments right here. I'm kind of speechless. I'm not looking actively at myself, so I'm hearing it from you guys, so I can't exactly confirm or check for myself, but if that's the case, we have a very serious problem on our hands. A very
that's the
serious
case-
one.
Well,
If
hold on.
that's the
Okay,
case, I need to update my sitrep graphic to.
hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. We need to make sure this is
Okay.
legitimate.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do about this, alright? Because, one, it hasn't updated on my end yet, which
Yeah, it hasn't for me
frustrates the shit.
either.
116 on SFMR apparently.
Okay, alright. I get your frustration. Here's what we're going to do about that.
I got the
Okay,
Let's take a deep breath.
hold on. We have drop zones. The drop zone should have been dropped in this northeastern eye wall. We're going to corroborate the data, and if we have 115, if I see no reason to suspect the flight level readings or those SFMR readings, that's going through as a category 4.
Yeah, that is not good at all, especially considering the fact that that was the news that we did not want to hear. We did not want to hear that the fact, if this is legit, this storm legit deepened 12 millibars inside of a few hours.
12 I'm sorry, what? 12 millibars?
We have it at
I can,
9:55.
in fact, confirm that we do have evidence for a Category 4 system.
Joining
Oh
us
my
back is
God.
Thomas, of course. He was hosting the coverage earlier, and
9:43.
very late for you now. And yeah, Thomas, how shocked are you about this one?
Bottom dropped out of it.
So there are a couple of things that could have happened here. And I'm hoping that it's my second theory, but I think it's my first. My first is that the storm just finally got itself together, and we are now seeing absolutely insane deepening, the kind of deepening that you expect to see out of storms that have this kind of OHC. Again, we were hoping that it wouldn't touch 5 millibars per hour. I
my
think
God.
it's definitely exceeded that if the first theory is correct, which is just that it's absolutely bombing out right now. The second possibility is that the first pass appeared to miss the eye just by a little bit, didn't get exactly in the center. And my hope is just that small miss.
That isn't. I can assure you, Thomas, that isn't the case.
Because the
drop
winds
zone,
went up so much.
No, the drop zone was 955 millibars, 3-knot winds.
I can tell you as well, the 115 knot SFMR is flagged, but none of the others are.
I'm not trusting a single one of those SFMRs or flight level wind readings until I get a drop zone that corroborates those readings.
Yeah, and the SFMR.
That is insane.
The SFMR on the 133 flight level was only 110. It was we had 126, 116 SFMR, but then listen to this. 104 flight level, but SFMR of 116.
Yeah, the
That's
flight level.
sus.
No, it isn't, because the flight level winds and the surface winds don't line up with each other.
Okay, yeah.
They're not going to be vertically stacked. They're tilted a little bit. Remember, there's a stadium effect with these storms.
Oh yeah,
so so there will be a slight offset. They won't be stacked on top of one another.
I'm pretty sure that these extrapolated pressure readings are fairly accurate. First of all, because of the ones we had before, but secondly, you can tell the hurricane hunters were even surprised because they made a loop around in there just to make sure that nothing was effed up before they went out. So this is pretty much a 10, 11 millibar drop from pass to pass.
Yep. I'm speechless. So I take back my words of that 116.89 SFMR not being the eye wall. That was clearly the edge of the eye wall.
Yep.
Yeah, of course, our analysts are going to be monitoring this situation closely, and we'll probably look at everything that we're seeing from Recon and figure out whether we have a stronger storm than initially thought. Keep in mind that our last fix, and of course the National Hurricane Center fix, was 115 miles an hour, 955 millibars. So the fact that we've just seen 943 millibars, not good news at all.
So the previous fix was at 4:45. That was the drop sun time. It was actually 442, I think, something like that. But what I have it down here is 445. It is, well, let's just say 6:20 now. I mean,
Yep.
we're 15 minutes short of 2 hours. So that would be 105, 1.75 hours, 11 millibars, and 1.7. I mean, that's 6 an hour. That's 6 in 1 hour.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, this
That's
is really bad.
that is an average deepening rate of 6.3 per hour. That's insane. I will not take that reading at face value until I get drop zones to cross confirm that. If drop zones cross confirm everything, then
If that confirms it, we've got a monster on our hands. And
yeah, because we forecasted 115 knots for landfall. So if it's 115 knots now,
I
And
don't
this
even
still
wanna
has quite
know-
a bit of time until landfall.
I don't
this-
even know.
more than enough time until landfall to
I
do
don't even-
whatever the hell it wants.
I don't even want to think what this will get to, and I'm starting to think we may have to raise it from a stage 7 on the CDPS if it
I'm
does get bad.
I'm not raising it on stage 7 on the CDPS unless the National Hurricane Center explicitly predicts Category 5.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much the only way we raise it.
And that would put it
I'm
at Katrina tier.
And I'm afraid now, if this verifies, we're gonna see a Cat 5.
Well, let's not go there.
Wait for drop zones.
Yeah, I'm waiting
Wait
on
for
drop zones.
Evan, when would the drops on data come in? Maybe.
I don't know when it'll come in.
It'll be in within the next 15 minutes.
Sometimes the drop zones come in like 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes I've seen drop zones take an entire hour to come through. But you can't take a reading like that at face value. I don't think that it's possible to take a reading like that at face value. That is a nuts reading.
I'd have a much more difficult time if they didn't fly around in the center for numerous high density observations and got a 945-ish pressure.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like
it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
You never know. I cannot confirm I'm not going to confirm a 6 millibar drop in 100. I'm sorry. I'm not going to confirm a 10 millibar drop or more in 1 hour and 45 minutes unless it's confirmed by drop zones. It's just not going to happen.
That's totally fair.
So just to clear up the chat, until we have all that evidence, we're sticking with Category 3. I know there were a few questions about what we're going to go with. The National Hurricane Center is not going to be making update statements more than likely because of the fact that they are now making hourly advisories. Now.
Yeah, they'll be coming out with an update statement at 3 a.m. I imagine.
Yeah. I meant in the sense where you do get it in between the advisories, but now we're getting like those intermediates instead of every 1 hour. We're getting it pretty much every hour with the update statements. But they're not going to interrupt in the middle of the half-hour marker or something like that for something like this.
Yeah. I wouldn't think. Maybe they will.
If it's serious enough, more than probably. But needless to say, at the top of the hour, we will get an updated National Hurricane Center update statement. We will see what they go with. Of course, this is some very serious developments that we're looking at here, but as of right now, we can't take these to face value and assume this is directly the case yet. Of course, we've got to be logical, look at everything that is presented before us. That's why we're waiting for that drops on there. The drops on data to come in. And if it checks out, then we've got a problem. We're hoping this isn't something that checks out, because that would be absolutely mad if it were, considering the fact that we had 955 millibars an hour ago, and here we are with potential reports that it's now down to 943. So that is going to be something we're monitoring. And needless to say, this no matter what happens, no matter the outcome that comes out of what the National Hurricane Center upgrades or what we upgrade with, this does not change the serious threat of the situation. We have urged people for days, if you live near the coastal areas, especially the parishes, especially if you live near the landfall zone, get out, evacuate. You do not want to be in this area, coastal area, especially with the storm surge.
It's too late now.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I know. Yeah, I know.
I just want to go. I need to go over you, Xavier, on this one because we did get the new recon data out, and what I'm seeing here is, again, nuts. So we had the first pass through the northwestern eye wall, that happened earlier. I'm trying to find that specific pass that ended up happening. Just hold on here. Because that one contained, there it is. So that pass had a peak flight level wind of 94 knots. That is now up to 111 knots.
In 94 SFMR.
Yeah.
So we have gone. Again, an SFMR is not a direct measurement, so I don't want to go off of that 100%, but these flight level winds are direct measurements. We went from 94 knots to 111 knots in 1 hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the fan. The conditions that this storm was over. I mean, you mentioned 225 OHC conditions. Katrina had 150, I think, right? Or around 150 at 175.
I don't know, and that's irrelevant.
Well, someone did ask us to go over pretty much everything going on in the Atlantic briefly to pretty much take off as we try to wrap our minds around everything with Ida and figuring out the data that has come in. But for those who are wondering what's going on in the Atlantic, there is a crazy amount going on. We have, of course, Hurricane Ida being the significant thing of the bunch there. The newest outlook, of course, came out 30 minutes ago. We also have Tropical Depression 10. That is likely to become a named storm. It used to only be forecasted to only reach tropical storm strength for 24 hours. However, the National Hurricane Center now calls for this being a tropical storm once it does achieve so through day 5, peaking at 50 miles an hour at day 5. There's also Tropical Depression 11, which is supposed to become a 50-mile-an-hour tropical storm that is short-lived before it turns extratropical, potentially stronger by then as well. On top of that, we have a tropical wave that is exiting the African coast, where it already has a high chance of development by the National Hurricane Center. And for whatever reason, there is now a new area of interest just off the Delmarva, moving southeast, where it has a 20% chance of development. I'm not exactly sure where that came from. I would have thought that the new area of interest would have been in the Caribbean with some of the models that's been hinting with that, but we'll see if that gets updated. But with the newest AOI there, I'm a little bit confused with that one. But needless to say, we are probably going to be having 3 named storms at once soon enough, and after those 3 come out, we will probably have more trouble activity regardless, because this is, after all, peak season, and needless to say, we've pretty much just gotten started with the real meat of the season. In terms of the other basins, Eastern Pacific, North is the only thing. There's no other areas of interest. Western Pacific, same thing. North Indian Ocean, same thing. So really all the activity is confined to the Atlantic and Nor there in the Eastern Pacific.
I do also want to mention here that there is now lightning occurring around the eye wall, or around the eye wall, which obviously signifies a rapidly intensifying storm, which is exactly what we did not want to see. because it just further proves what we were saying earlier.
And yeah, just going over the rainfall, of course, the last update was this, is it 0Z. I'm sure that the 06Z will be coming in the next hour or so, but needless to say, the rainfall of this is going to be the really big concern of this as well, considering this does go far inland. You can see the browns that are representing a foot of rain or more, and then of course the yellows are further going up 4 to 6 inches or even more in some of those isolated locations. But it seems that the bullseye in the well inland areas are going to be northern Mississippi and even Kentucky. There are places in Kentucky that could be seeing 6 inches of rain from this storm. And the widespread amounts of 4 inches continue even across portions of southern Pennsylvania. And in the Appalachians, you could be seeing some locally heavy rainfall amounts. And even then, 2 to 3 inches of rain across all those dark red areas there, even into portions of the Mid-Atlantic, Delmarva, and even parts of the southern New England coast there, which don't need the rain. Of course, we already saw Henri hit there recently. Tennessee doesn't need the rain, of course, especially the area where the maximum rainfall in Tennessee is going to be over. That just had a very significant flood event that unfortunately claimed the lives of over 20 people there. And even then, Louisiana and Mississippi, they've had an above average precipitation rate for the year so far, so they definitely don't need the rainfall. And you can just see that the rainfall totals are going to be so much to the point that the colors have just gotten so dark on the brown side of things. And even to add further insult to injury, you can kind of see Nora's rainfall there too. And pretty much areas in Mexico could be seeing about 6 to 10 inches of rain, especially as you head further into the coast there. And then the remnants of it are going to continue to push north and enhance the monsoon that we're going to be seeing in the southwestern U.S. That we've been seeing the last few months now. So areas like Tucson could be seeing over an inch of rain as well from the remnants of Nora here. So definitely some serious rainfall that we have seen here, and I can't push enough that on top of the destructive winds, on top of the storm surge, rainfall. That is going to be a threat no matter how much it weakens, because of course people have been looking at this thinking, okay, this is going to rapidly weaken and all. It doesn't mean that the threat of this is going to be over. There is still going to be an inland rainfall threat from this no matter what ends up panning out.
Yeah. Walter, if you're trying to speak, your mic's not working.
I see Ida exploded.
It did.
That is that is
An
That
understatement.
is pretty much the case, yes. The question is, of course, how much, and the second question is, will it continue? The answer to number 2 was probably yes. The answer to number 1 is 10 knots in 105 minutes, and 17 knots in 1 hour and 45 minutes, and 10 millibars at minimum in 1 hour 45 minutes. So, yikes.
Well, this is not like exploded. This is like
No.
nuclear.
They passed through the northwest eye wall, got 94 knots. They passed through the northwest eye wall again an hour 45 minutes later, got 111 knots.
111. Yep.
Wow.
It's so it's. I
Yeah,
have every
I
reason to believe that's real.
I totally believe a 10 millibar delta. I'm just waiting for the drop zone data to confirm this so I can get the fix out.
The eye temp also on the pass went from a solid like 17 to 20 in that time.
The eye temperature in the original drop zone was 28. So
Wow. Yeah, I'm looking at flight level stuff.
yeah, the surface, the splash temperature was 28. If this is up to 940s, I mean, we might be looking at a splash temperature of almost 29, with that intensification rate, that's ridiculous. I'm very interested to see what the VW, well, the VPs, I should say, is going to look like.
Do we have a drop zone on the eye?
Not
we
in
want
yet.
one, but we don't have one yet.
I am spamming the magical button on my keyboard that represents the refresh of the browser,
Me
and
too.
I think I might get carpal tunnel before they give me this drop zone.
Well, either way, the National Hurricane Center will be issuing an update statement in about 20 minutes. Of course, we're now looking at those being hourly as we get closer to the landfall. Of course, the full advisories will be coming out at 5 a.m. Eastern, and by then, Nathan will be back, of course, hosting this live coverage.
Of course, if the National Hurricane Center goes right ahead and says it's a Cat 4, well, I'll just go ahead and say it's a Cat 4. If they're comfortable with saying it, I'm comfortable with saying it. I just want to make sure, because of just how crazy this intensification spout is. Hopefully it was a one pass intensification spout and that we don't have to pass through it again to find the storm dropping another 10 millibars, because that would be no thank you.
Well, they didn't get a true northeast to southwest pass, so I think they're gonna have to do that.
They went northeast northwest, which is fine. You can do that. That's fine. That's fine. This is what happens when you get a really small hurricane over very warm waters, doing very small hurricane things. Please do not be intensifying at 6 millibars per hour, because Jesus, that is just going to be unsettling.
Well, unfortunately, we are.
If it heard you say 5 millibars an hour and decided to one up you, then I'm just afraid. I really hope this does not verify.
Well, it's all but verified at this point. The question is, what exactly is the intensification rate? And the more pressing question is, what's the pressure going to be on the next pass?
Oh God.
That's what we're looking for.
Well, right
we were talking not even 2 hours ago about 19, so 9/10s.
Yeah, then 9/10s. Six millibars per hour. It'll be in the 9/10s by sunrise. So.
No.
I was gonna say, do we dare say sub 9/10?
Okay, let's not go there.
No, this is not scary.
It's a real question, though. It's a very real possibility now.
Have to wait for the next pass to see if it was just a one pass intensification spurt and it's gone back to 2 to 3 millibars,
which is the hope,
or if the intensification is now going to be 6 millibars an hour, or we better hope it's not this one.
Yeah.
It's a signal of the intensification rate accelerating, which, no.
Yeah, before we start questioning, upper end Cat 4 and further possibilities, I think what we need to do is just make sure what we're getting is real. Of course, I'd rather wait until we get, all the data, all the consistencies.
It's real.
Sure, Xavier. Make it where it's. I'm convinced that this is a Cat 4. I'm convinced that the central pressure is at least 945. I'm just questioning how strong of a Cat 4 and how far below 945 at this point, because the northwestern eye wall intensified 17 knots in 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Breaking news, we had a drop zone.
We did?
Oh, we
Is
do?
it in the eye?
Yes.
It is.
It's in the eye.
It's an eye sun.
950?
950. 950.
Okay. That is that's good news.
That is good news.
That's
Still,
dust.
Let's-
Okay, so we have surface extrapolated pressures going down to 942, and we have a drop sonde, and the surface extrapolated pressures there were several 945 and below. So I wouldn't necessarily trust 942, but 945 seemed reasonable, and the drop sonde is 950. What that tells me that something's going on with the H-job observations.
we can still say confidently that the winds support a Cat 4.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
It's a Cat 4.
yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and I mean, I will go ahead and wait for the National Hurricane Center advisory here because like I want to see what they post because I'm kind of honestly unsure of what to think about that.
I think a lot of us are.
Do we
Yeah.
think they're gonna? Are they gonna override the 950 and go lower?
I know.
No.
I think they'll stick with the 950.
Updates out. Cat 4.
Okay.
All right, we have a Cat
Hey.
4.
Okay then. There we go.
Yep.
Let me get the coordinates on that drop zone so I can give you that. Let's see here. This is actually gonna have to dial that back to 610 with coordinates 27 6 88 7.
Yep, they're
Seven.
saying the location is currently 27.7, 88.8. Its wind speeds are 130 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure is 949. Data, as we know, is 130. They say after the reasoning why they upgraded to Cat 4, central pressure has fallen 6 millibars in the last hour. Like you were saying, Devin, let's hope that's just a one-time thing.
Well, this is of course breaking news. Ida has now become a Category 4 hurricane, now with winds of 130 miles an hour, a pressure of 949 millibars. Not good news. This is exactly the news we did not want to hear. This is basically just... it just exploded in terms of its intensity. Needless to say, we are now looking at a far worse situation than what we were hoping for. And unfortunately, this still has quite a bit of time to intensify even further than what it has already. So this isn't good news at all.
Yeah,
Not for
and
Louisiana.
For reference, I believe that in the earlier forecast they had it reaching Cat 4 within like 6 or 5 hours from now. So it's like it's way ahead of schedule now.
Yeah, I'd like to keep in mind that the National Hurricane Center and, of course, Recon, we forecasted 130 miles an hour for the landfall. We thought it wouldn't get to, at least the National Hurricane Center didn't think it would get to 130 until tomorrow afternoon, or at least tomorrow in around noontime, where this was going to be making landfall. So the fact that this is still deep into the night here, and it's up to Category 4, this is...
I have to push the CDPS up is what that means.
So, are we
Are we
upgrading?
going in 8?
No, we're not upgrading to stage 8, but we're definitely on the upper end of stage 7 at this point. Let's see here. The trajectory's most similar. I don't know. I want a better system than that. I think Gustav via track is the closest thing that we can get. So that's gonna bump it up to a 43.2.
All right, I want to make something very clear real quick to people in chat who are celebrating the fact that this just became a Category 4.
Please don't
This
celebrate this.
this is an extremely dangerous situation. This is a life-threatening situation. There are numerous people in New Orleans who did not evacuate and are very close to out of time. The stronger this gets, the more people that are going to lose their lives. Is that clear? The more that people cheer on this, first of all, the more that it damages the weather community. And second of all, the more that you're actively cheering something that will cause loss of life.
And I just want to make clear, this storm has already killed 20 people indirectly from its precursor, so this has already been a quite deadly system, already the deadliest of the year, and this hasn't even made landfall yet. So that just goes to show, I mean, I'm not sure how it really plays into things, but needless to say, this is A, the strongest storm of the year, B, one of very few storms to be making landfall in Louisiana with Category 4 strength. Keep in mind, Katrina did make landfall as a Category 3. So we're looking at a very, very strong storm for Louisiana standards here, because they are not used to seeing Category 4 landfalls all that often. This isn't something that happens every year. While Louisiana is a hotspot for hurricanes and tropical storms, once you get to Category 4 plus, the stronger it gets, it's just more and more uncommon. This has me really worried for New Orleans because, of course, the levee system was made after Katrina to help combat against the surge and all that stuff and help keep New Orleans better prepared for this stuff. And needless to say, there's going to be a lot of pressure put on these levees. The stronger this gets, the more concerned this has me for that levee system. This is going to be the biggest test to see if this can hold. And if it doesn't, we're looking at a very serious economic disaster in the making here. There's really nothing else I can really say to put this any more seriously. Lives will be lost. Much more lives that will be lost. Much more economic loss, and we don't need a repeat of what happened to Katrina. We really don't.
No, we don't. No, we don't. And like I said, I can already tell you that. I mean, we're starting to look like that we're pushing the $10 billion disaster mark at this point, which is quite remarkable for a storm that will be making landfall on an area of Louisiana. Now, I know that New Orleans is very populated, but the Delta itself isn't as populated. So, especially with how small the storm is, if this thing ends up racking up that $10 billion figure with the angle that it's moving at, that would be one hell of a storm. This is nothing to mess around with at all. With the damage projection by CDPS, and I do realize that that is an experimental thing, but with the CDPS now going to the upper end of stage 7, because I've upped the winds to 150 miles an hour now, because I think that's fine considering the storm's trends. Hopefully I don't have to move that again. Please do not make me have to move that again, because I want to present that as kind of a worst case. Please tell me things do not just get worse.
Hey, Devin. Air Force 303 is leaving the storm. We will not be getting another pass.
302 is.
We have 302 coming.
Yes,
302 is on the way.
302 is coming. That's fine. That's fine. I figured they were leaving because they just immediately hit the northwest sidewall and were like, out of here.
Yeah.
Oh man, Ida. This is bad.
It's very bad. It's not going to take anywhere near as much at this point for a high-end Cat 4 as we thought it was going to, because it just pulled the very gnarly trick out of its hat.
At this point, this storm has become all about the storm of worst case scenarios. We basically, ever since we started tracking this, we were basically considering, and I know I talked with you about this, Thomas. Basically, if this became a hurricane before it hit Cuba, we would have a serious problem on our hands. And that's exactly what it did. And now here we are in the Gulf of Mexico. We thought we were looking a little bit lucky with the fact that the winds weren't catching up to, the deepening of pressure, so it was staying with Category 2 for quite some time. But now that's no longer the case. This is definitely rapidly intensifying, and this is not a good situation when this is just hours, not days, away from landfall. Hours.
Yeah, thank goodness it didn't. It wasn't like this when it moved in to the big eddy.
Oh yeah.
Like, we talk about this as if it's a worst case scenario. This is not a worst case scenario. This could have this could have been worse. If it continues to deepen at a ridiculous rate, then perhaps it'll be as bad as it would have been anyway. But at this point, we're not quite at and everything that could go wrong did go wrong yet.
I mean, a lot of things went right for us since Ida didn't immediately blow up after coming off the coast of Cuba, as it
Yep.
should have been. Jesus, we're not gonna get a recon pass in here until 4 o'clock.
And of course, we are gonna get the bottom bar updated. I know it still says 115 miles an hour, but once I get the updated stuff for that out, that will get updated. So,
What eye wall? Is that the northwest eye wall?
Yes, it is. That is the northwest
Oh
eye
my
wall.
good lord! No!
Yep.
No! No! No!
You're looking at the Sond, right?
I'm looking at the Sond, and hold on, let me find the time on this.
Well, that's almost starting to convince me that maybe the iSond is the point. That wait a minute.
6:17.
Wait a second.
So-
That's the point. That's the point the NHC went with for the location of the eye, with the northwest eye wall drops on.
83-101. Let me see what we have here. 83, that makes sense. 101, that corroborates. There's absolutely no reason to suspect anything wrong with the SFMRs. I could tell you that we definitely have 102 knot SFMR in the northwest eye wall. If we were to compare that to the first pass, there was 85 knot SFMR in the northwest eye wall compared to a 94 knot SFMR in the northeast eye wall, making that a conversion of 1.1. We're going with 102 knot SFMR in the northwest eye wall. Multiplying that through does only bring us to 112 knots. So that doesn't quite get us to 115. There were a couple of flagged 115 SFMRs, but those were flagged, and we don't have a drop to say anything about that. I think Cat 4 may have been jumped a gun a little bit, but in retrospect, that is not going to matter at all if it's intensifying at 6 millibars per hour.
yeah, either way, there's nothing about it. It's going to be an extremely dangerous storm, and it looks like it's going to be making landfall stronger than initially anticipated. So, either way, while it may be a low-end Cat 4, or either way, it doesn't matter how strong it is anymore, especially with how fast this is intensifying. It's going to be catastrophic. There is no ifs, ands, and buts.
wish I could give better news, guys. I really wish I could give better news.
Me too.
This isn't something to play around with. Unfortunately, this is about as serious as it possibly gets when it comes to hurricanes. I mean,
Yep.
we are now into the 40s now in CDPS. And by the way, when you're talking about cyclone destruction potential scale ratings, if you're above a 35,